What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're hopping into some X-Men. We're picking back up with the Uncanny X-Men after Charles Xavier leaves Earth. Issues 12 through 16 of Uncanny X-Men. Rogue, Gambit, and Wolverine really creating their own X-Men team. We find them out here in Louisiana. Down here in the bayous, they created their own little makeshift danger room. And most recently, they had kind of pushed Jitter, one of their more recent recruits, a little too far. Or at least that's how Rogue sees it. That they were trying too hard to be Cyclops. Too hard trying to do the trial by fire. But when both her and Gambit get up that morning and they look outside, what they find is Jitter. She is training. She's been out there since 4:30 a.m. And she's also not alone. Calico, Ransom, and Deathdream, the other three new recruits, they're also out here. And they're giving her encouragement. They're cheering her on. And we're really seeing that the four, they're creating a bond. Even Deathdream is coming around. Now, Deathdream, he's a little bit weird. He's a little bit different, a little bit awkward. His power is more or less phasing himself in and out of death. He also can command the dead. But when asking Ransom if he can teach him how to box, teach him how to fight, when Ransom says yes, that's probably the most excited that we have seen Deathdream since his introduction. But as Rogue and Gambit make it outside, she rushes over to Jitter, and at first she's stern. It seems like she's about to scold her. After looking at Jitter's hands, seeing that they're blistered, they're bloodied, Rogue grabs her and she hugs her. She apologizes. When she had asked Remy to knock her off of that tower, she believes that she was trying too hard to teach them. She doesn't think that that's the way. That's the way that they were taught. But she doesn't want to do that to these kids. But with the breakfast bell ringing, everybody heads inside. And as Remy starts to go back in, he feels something in his pockets. A note. Gambit has a debt that he needs to go pay. And this debt, this takes us way back when. A young Remy sitting here picking out crawfish. And when a young kid from the Assassin's Guild by the name of Salvatore, he comes up to Remy and he starts picking on him. They start beating on him. But Remy, he can't do anything. The son of Jean-Luc Lebeau, part of the Thief Guild. Remy can't go out here starting crap with anybody. But Remy, he just stands here and takes it. He takes one hell of a beating. And then the Vig shows up. The Vig working for Jean-Luc. He was the enforcer. And he comes up to Remy and he's like, I saw you take one heck of a beating. But he says, me personally, they sat there and called you all kinds of names. They said that you weren't Cajun. Now, your mama's honor, that's one thing. But saying that you're not a Cajun, that ain't no joke. Now, the Vig kind of wants Remy to stand up for himself. In fact, so much so that he knows where Salvatore and those other guys are gonna be. That they could go find them and get themselves into a dust-up. And so Remy showed up, stick in hand. And he didn't hold back. Salvatore and his boys, he beat them down. They got themselves a real nice Cajun-style ass-whooping. After the beating, the Vig took him out to get some food. Headed out for some late-night shrimp po' boys. The Vig had told him that he was proud of him. And in that moment, that was probably the most delicious sandwich Remy had ever ate. Unfortunately, Salvatore Sr. of the Assassin's Guild, he didn't take kindly to his son being jumped. And so when they come for him, when they come for Remy, the Vig is there. And he don't take too kindly to them threatening the boy. With the Vig beating the bricks off of these guys, he tells Remy to get out of here. That he ain't gonna hurt him too bad, but he tells Remy to run. This is what led him to that sanctuary. Takes him to Mr. St. Junior's. Kind of a place for orphan children. And he was put to work. He didn't ask many questions. He made sure he stayed on the straight and narrow. He stayed clean, did all the good things he was supposed to do. 2 days later, he was reading in the paper that 4 gang members had been killed. They had been slain by the Vig. And when Vig calls him up, the Vig tells him that I took care of that problem for you. But just so we're clear, what this means, 25% for the rest of your life. That is the Vig. Of every dollar you earn, you kick up 25% to me. And that's what takes us to present day. Remy showing up, and the Vig is here. Gambit's asking, what do you want? And the Vig, he wants what he's owed. He wants what's fair. The truth is, Gambit's got everything. Lived in a mansion, friends all over, and a Southern belle to die for. The Vig wants his piece of the cut. That he's got 4 brand new recruits. That if you give me one of them, we'll call it even. But when Gambit tells him, that ain't happening, the Vig charges in. as the two scuffle, we see that Gambit, he's able to get a deck of playing cards into the pocket of the Vig, getting close enough to drop that in. Those cards explode and it drops Vig down to the ground. And Gambit lets it know, like, I called around. Before I came into town, I called around, and guess who I found? I found Salvatore's kid, all grown up, and to be real, he's not that all bad these days. But it turns out that the Vig had paid Salvatore and the boys to beat up Remy. The Vig wanted Remy to owe him, and so Gambit tells him, I'm not gonna kill you. But that note, it's torn up. Any deal we had, it's done. And just a friendly piece of advice. You killed Salvatore Jr.'s father. I let him know where you would be tonight. My advice to you is to run. As we hop over to issue number 13 and we start the new story arc of Dark Artery. Our story starts us with a young woman, one by the name of Henrietta Benjamin, but everyone simply calls her Miss Henry. Today she is setting out. Today she is leaving this world behind. And Miss Henry, she lives in a time of segregation, not of mutant kind, but of skin color. So not only does she live in a time era where she has to worry about being black in certain places, she also has to hide her mutant ability. Either one of these things, it can be very dangerous for her. Add in the fact that she's a young woman in this time era traveling alone. It seemed like it was always a recipe for disaster. A young woman simply trying to make her way in the world, trying to make her way to Haven, Louisiana. And this is what hops us over to Haven current day. Remy is running outside because someone is calling to him. That someone is Saturning the Dragon. And these guys, they got a little bit of history. If you remember in the earlier issues, Gambit got the Eye of Agamotto from the dragon. And the two of them cutting a deal, the dragon said that he would come back in 1 year. He would come to claim the Eye of Agamotto. The dragon is here to offer a break in their pact. And so as Gambit hops up, they take off. This isn't the only person sneaking out tonight. Deathdream has woken up the other three, Ransom, Calico, and Jitter. All of them head out together because there is something that is calling to them down this beaten old road. He calls it the Highway of Pain. He says that it's calling to them, that they have to find it. He's not really sure where they're headed, but he's following the tears. And as they come upon it, on a small little island, they find a giant tomb. An X marking the spot. They call this the Dark Artery. Now as they go to investigate this, we pick up with Remy, the dragon going from snow to a very lush land. We have a little bit of a change of scenery, but our dragon friend, he lets us know that I don't really dislike you, Remy. You have simple wants. You don't apologize. In this way, you and I are a lot alike. But I've come to warn you. Before he can give this warning, Remy has to look around and he's like, where the heck are we? We were just in snow and now we're somewhere completely different. That's because they have been transported to the Savage Land. The four kids sitting outside of this dark artery. They're not really sure what this is yet, but as they make their descent down into the depths, Calico's horse, Ember, she stays behind. Calico really hasn't figured out her whole powers yet, but for whatever reason, Ember won't come down here. When they do get down here, they find coffins, people laid to rest, and a diary. At this point, they've obviously figured it out. This is a freaking graveyard. But as they begin to look around this crypt just a little bit more, we are thrown back into the Savage Lands. We pick up with Remy fighting a freaking T-Rex. And Gambit really is trying everything he can not to actually hurt the dinosaur. It's just a mindless creature that's looking for its next meal, but it's rather persistent. And so Remy's gotta put it down. As he does so, we see the dragon friend. He decides this is a nice opportunity to grab himself a meal. But this is where he finally tells Gambit what the heck is going on. It's about the Eye of Agamotto, about the Eye of Power. He tells Gambit that it will give you power. but you will also crave it. It will give you the hungers that nothing can really satisfy. You will hunger for flesh. At first, it'll be just live animals, but then it'll be friends, it'll be wives, it'll be family. And he admits that I probably should have told you this in all fairness. Your friends did blind me, but you're a decent enough mortal. This is a one-time offer. I can take back the eye, or you can start feeling a little bit peckish. The choice is really up to you. In New Orleans, Louisiana, we have Miss Henry, who finds herself getting off the train. But when she gets off this train, she is immediately met by a man who is employed by the service. And he grabs her bag, he begins going through it. He finds nothing of mischief, but he seems rather certain that if this girl is not a mutant, she knows where they may be, having one of his goons keep an eye on her. She is already seeing that coming down to Louisiana, it is not going to be an easy day. In the depths of the catacombs, Deathdream is guiding them, showing them through the darkness. And while they're all just a little bit scared, a little bit terrified, he tells them that they near the Guardian, that they mustn't show fear. As the Guardian begins to come into view, he tells them that you shouldn't be showing fear, because whoever knows fear burns at the touch of the Man-Thing. As we hop over to issue number 14, we see Miss Henry being picked up by a young man by the name of George. Underneath his hat, when he makes his introductions, we can see the M underneath, subtly but showing her that I am also a mutant, that you're safe with me. But when George came to pick her up, there was also someone watching, someone keeping an eye out. That, of course, was the service. And so as they go to follow them, we are taken back to the caverns below Haven House. And Deathdream is letting everybody know not to worry, that the Man-Thing, he's not evil. He is the guardian of this room, but he will also melt off your face if you show any fear. Other than that though, he's a really good dude. But there is a room on the other side of this door. You have to be a mutant to open up the door. Man-Thing is here to guard it. And so all you have to do is let him know how you're a mutant. One by one they go off. Ransom essentially having the ability of taking in kinetic energy and using it. The harder he gets hit, the harder he can hit back. Deathdream being able to change his state from living to dead and back again at will. He can dream the future, and he makes the spirits of the dead do his bidding. Jitter for 1 minute. She can be the best in the world to any specific talent, any skill. And Calico having a special bond with her horse. She can give them powers whatever she can imagine, but the door doesn't open because of Calico. She didn't tell the truth. The real truth, her horse Ember, her real horse, he died in a fire. So that horse that follows her around, she has no idea what it actually is or where it came from. And even Deathdream, he knew that it wasn't actually alive, but that doesn't narrow the options on what it could be. He also didn't want to hurt her feelings or anything like that. He may not have feelings, but he knows what they are, and he knew that this would make her sad. But her revealing this information, it opens up the doorway. With the door being opened up, they head in, and then we're thrown back over to Remy and the dragon, while the dragon chomps away on our little T-Rex. Gambit's really telling him, I think I'm gonna keep the eye. I understand what you're doing here and what you're saying. You're saying that eventually I'm gonna start eating the people I love, but for the time being, I'm gonna hold on to it. When they return, they aren't met with hugs. The dragon is met with a punch to the freaking face. Rogue hits him and says to keep your damn claws off my damn husband. You come to my home. You come to our home. And you dare try to give me warning. That's where she takes him and she flings him. And at this point, he's like, alright, bet. If this is what we're doing, let's go. With Rogue charging in, the dragon makes his attack. Using his ice breath, he freezes Rogue in place. And he tells Remy that she'll be fine. Almost certainly, most likely, no promises. But this is his last chance. He can return the eye right now and they can call it a day. But when he turns it down, the dragon, he looks over to both Nightcrawler and Jubilee. And he tells them he's gonna eat the both of you, just so you know. But the dragon, he also sees that Jubilee is weeping, asking her why. Seeing the dragon reminds Jubilee of an old friend. and he lets her know that your friend, he misses you, so you should probably go see him, which definitely is an option now considering we saw her little dragon friend pop up with Emma Frost. But as everybody comes inside for the day and all the drama is over, we're thrown back to Miss Henry in the past. The service had followed her and Mr. George. And before they could actually get to the Haven, they drew out their guns. They went to put them down right here. George jumping in front of the gun. He takes a shotgun blast right to the stomach. This is where she shows Mr. Miller of the service what her true power is. It appears that Miss Henry has a power of essentially becoming a rock, becoming stone, but more than that, she can create stone avatars. Mr. Miller was no match for the hell that he brought down on himself. And that's what brings us to present day. Brings us to our kids walking through that doorway. And when they walk through the door, this is where they find Miss Henry. We pick up that fateful night, almost a century ago outside Haven House in Haven, Louisiana. Miss Henry, powers in full effect, and Mr. Miller on the ground. Miss Henry ready to put him down. Had it not been for the others coming and staying her hand, she probably would have killed Mr. Miller right here and right now. And in present day, our kids, they kind of get a history lesson. They figure out what this place actually is. That this place is ruled by a hurricane from the stars. She is called the Voice of Darkness. Her real name is Shuvarik, and everyone she is in charge with keeping here, they all committed one crime, all the same felony. Humans sensed the wrongness of this place, so they avoid it entirely. That there was a time when no church would take mutant loved ones who passed. Every tomb desecrated, every grave molested. And so this voice of the darkness, it has been calling out, reaching anybody that it can find. That's why Death Dream is here. It called out to Death Dream. It is because this god, this entity, it needs a replacement. She risks to return home, but if you ignore this call, she will also ruin your mind. And Death Dream says that I'm going. There's not really anybody that cares about me anyway, not even myself. So I'll go in there and I'll go by myself. Of course, Ransom and the others, they're not gonna let him. And so when they all get into this place, they see that their wardrobe is changed. There's a kind of dress code here, if you will. But when they look around, they can see the city. They can see the Eternal Overlord. They see the Voice of Darkness. In this place, they can feel her hatred. And Death Dream, he keeps telling the others to go back. Go back while the door is still open and you still have a chance to leave. But they all refuse. And so they continue forward. And Miss Henry, she tells a story of a young Greta. She was blessed with two gifts: the power to create curses, to bind the wicked, and a beautiful daughter who loved more than the stars themselves. But her husband was a cruel man. Not able to bully his wife, he tormented his own child until that child could no longer bear it. And thus, the mother could no longer bear it. She created this place, a hellish prison, a mockery of a community that exists outside of geography, a place to punish the kin of mutants who betray their own family members. If a father branded his daughter a witch, he came here. If a mother informed the constable on her husband, she came here. This is their eternal regret, their unending torment. At this point back at Haven House, Remy has kind of divulged what's going on. After, some of the others were like, where are all the kids at? Where'd the 4 children go? Remy and the others kind of had to fess up onto where they went. And so now Rogue and the others, they're like, obviously, we have to go save them. We got to go rescue them. Back in the Dark Artery, we see that our team is preparing. Because while this is a forever torment for the family members that kin of people that turn in mutants. They're here and they're angry. All their anger, all their frustration, they attack. And so while the outliers, they hold their own the best they can. Fortunate for them, they're about to get some assistance. With the arrival of Rogue and the X-Men, they show up ready to fight. We see this battle ensue, and all these tormented people here, all those that are imprisoned, they can take one hell of a beating, with them continuing to get up, continuing to come at them. This is when Death Dream, he pronounces enough. a power coming out of him, and from him, the voice of darkness. And it says that you tormented dare try to do anything here. Did you forget why you were placed here? Have you forgotten all of your crimes? And this is when Death Dream, he points to each and every one of them and lets all of them know of their crimes, of what placed them here in this place of perdition. What we're seeing is he's really taking up her offer, replacing her as the guardian of this miserable place. When things start to look like they're going to go a little bit sideways, Ransom also taken over. That's when Wolverine's claws come out. And Lady Henry, her and Wolverine, they go way back. And Miss Henry even admitting that back in the day, she always had the tiniest of crushes on him. As the voice of darkness continues on, going on about how she summoned 4 who would suffice, 4 who may touch death. The voice of darkness is saying that one of them must stay behind. But Rogue, she refuses. The rest of the X-Men, they all refuse. And they attack. But as they get thrown around, we see Calico in all the chaos. She calls Ember, and Ember appears before her. She charges in on the voice of darkness, and it appears that the voice of darkness is afraid of Ember. Seizing this opportunity, Rogue grabs Man-Thing and throws Man-Thing right through the voice of darkness. Because whoever knows fear burns at the touch of the Man-Thing. Now this doesn't kill the voice of darkness, but it definitely does a devastating blow. And so the voice tells all of them to go, to never come back to this place. That none of you are ever welcome here. As they go to leave, Miss Henry, she kind of fills us in on what happened with the service. They had let the guy go free, but of course he came back. He came back, but they found nothing. And that man, George, they were able to save him. And with George, she made a family. She found love. They had a child together. And one last question that they have to ask. If you meant to hide this place for decades, why the heck did you mark it with a giant X? And she says because in our forgotten code, the X used to mean safe. But as our group of new X-Men make their way back home to Haven House, they show up only to find a Sentinel dog. Except this Sentinel dog has been reprogrammed. It was rebooted, and in its rebooting, its coding now goes along the lines of good boy mode. The aggression filter turned on, saying life is good and children are love. And now Death Dream, the rest of them, they finally understand what this all is. The Dark Artery, Haven, this house, these people, it is all X. X-Men, this house, the people, the food, this is all X. This is all safe. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I love that we're getting some New Mutants in here. Probably something that they really should have utilized during the Krakoan era. I mean, you had the opportunity, and we focused on a lot of the old school mutants, which I don't hate, but it was a missed opportunity to introduce mutants like this. Death Dream probably has to be one of my more favorite of the new characters. I mean, at my very core, I'm an emo kid. Sadness, death, despair, I love that shit. So Death Dream is definitely up my alley. Like, this kid busts out an Edgar Allan Poe book, I'm sold. All in all, though, this is really good. It's a lot of fun. We're seeing that after Krakoa, our X-Men team are trying to build their own X-Men, their own school, if you will. They're trying to create their own havens and safe places around the world for mutants. And for Rogue, for Gambit, for Wolverine, this is their way of doing that. These 4 lost kids that just fell into their lap, they've taken them under their wings, into their tutelage, and they're showing them what it is to be a mutant in this world. Kids that never really knew their own identity, never understood what it meant to be a mutant, what it meant to wear that brand, to have that X, to have that M. Kids that have been lost, shunned from society. You can't help but think that Remy, that Wolverine, that Rogue. They all can't help but see themselves in these young teens. Their only hope, they can do it better than Charles did. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories. If you want to get caught up on everything that has been going on with any of the X-Men titles, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It's gonna get you completely caught up on everything that has happened with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.